Okay, so my editor had an idea to ask my network, that is you, what I should do for my next video, and that's what I did. And I was overwhelmed with the number of questions. That's not true. There was a handful of them, and there was at least one question that was asked more than once. And so that's what I'm going to answer today, and that is, how do you budget for paid acquisition? How do you budget for paid acquisition? Well, to start with, make absolutely sure that you have an acquisition system or strategy in place. It's not a good idea to be spending budget to drive traffic if you don't already have a means in place to convert that traffic, to nurture them, and to hand them over to sales. Okay, so first build the fundamentals of conversion, nurture, and the sales process before you invest budget in driving traffic. Those things have to work before you can invest in paid acquisition. So start there. Another common mistake that people make is not budgeting for the mid and lower funnel. You might have a paid campaign in place that drives traffic and even converts traffic at the top of your funnel, but always make sure that you save some budget for retargeting and for helping people along their sales journey to the middle and the bottom of your funnel. So if all of your budget is put towards simply boosting posts or even promoting a campaign, make sure that you set some aside and do some ad retargeting as well, and hit the people who have shown interest, are carrying that pixel in their browser, and those folks are that much more likely to convert. In my case, for example, I have two campaigns running at the same time. The first is to convert subscribers. So I have a content offer, I convert them to my list. The second campaign is to try to get them on the phone with me, and so I use videos and ad retargeting to do that. Budget over here to convert to list, and then budget over here in order to nurture and to get them to the next conversion stage. So making sure that budget is set aside for both of those, also very important. Lastly though, how do I budget for paid acquisition? I think that is what I was being asked. How do I split my money up between organic and paid acquisition? And for that matter, by extension, what do I recommend my software as a service clients do? Well, it depends on a lot of factors, but I think the primary one is how much of your content generation is happening in-house. So for me, in my case, I do a lot of my own content generation. That's what you're watching now. I have help with that though. I do have a video editor, hi Janine, and I have a copy editor that helps me out from time to time as well. But for the most part, you know, when it comes to creating newsletters, for example, or even converting this transcript to a blog post, I do a lot of that work myself. So we'll call that like in-house. And so hard costs on my content generation are reasonably low, whereas with the paid acquisition side, I don't have any choice but to buy that traffic. And so I have a general rule, or at least when I did the math, I figured that it's about a 3-to-1 ratio of paid to organic. But those aren't really necessarily even different channels. I think of it as content generation and content distribution. So I already mentioned things like newsletters. I do some of that hand to keyboard work myself, so it doesn't have any hard costs associated with the distribution side. But things like targeted Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, things like that, those do have a hard cost. And so my general rule of thumb is 3-to-1 paid to organic, if you like, in terms of your budgeting. Another way of thinking about that is like you go to the trouble of creating a campaign or an asset or an anchor blog post, something that is attention getting and brand building and trust building, and you create this piece of art. And then what I'm saying is you could reasonably invest 3 times that amount of budget to distribute it. Sounds a little bit crazy, but it's reasonable. And in my case, it's reasonable because I have a conversion process in place. I convert traffic to my list and I nurture them with emails, and then I also retarget them with ads that are designed specifically to invite them to the next step, which is a sales call with me. And that's about it. It's reasonably simple. You work within the budget that you have and the resources that you have. If you have in-house resources that can create that wow factor content that is going to make a difference for you, then your organic or your content generation costs can be a little bit lower. Whereas paid always has a certain amount of fixed costs, and I shouldn't say fixed, but the variables are things like how well are you doing targeting, how well are people converting, is your offer relevant? There's many variables there, and I confess to not be an expert in that myself. I hire experts to help me with paid acquisition. And I think paid acquisition is probably one area that might be even the last thing that you bring in-house as you grow, because the cost of doing it and the cost of hiring in-house that kind of expertise is going to be fairly high, whereas you can control your budgets and start small with external agencies. You can start reasonably small. A lot of them have minimums and things like that, but use external experts for your paid acquisition, whether it is search engine marketing or targeted social advertising. That's my advice, and bring that in-house last. And don't be afraid to spend a little bit of that budget to promote a campaign that you worked hard on creating, provided you have that conversion strategy in place. I hope this has been helpful. Please like this video, ask a question, leave a comment. That really matters to me. And if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, wherever that is. And if you're watching this on LinkedIn, hit the follow button. Thanks very much, and we'll catch you on the next one.